But our top story tonight, and this is a campaign that we will now run over the next few days, because whistleblower IAS officer Ashok Khemka, who was transferred 2 days ago for the 46th time in the last 22 years, has now taken his battle to the Haryana governor. He has met him today to explain his case. This even as present and former IAS officers have come out in his support. Pradeep Kasni, one IAS officer who himself has faced 60 transfers in Haryana, has spoken out openly and upset Khemka meeting the governor, Kaptan Singh Solanki, the meeting lasting for about 17 minutes. It is believed that the Haryana government still divided over the decision to transfer Mr. Khemka. The Chief Minister, Mr. Khattar, is still defending the Haryana government, saying it was our administrative call. As part of our campaign to ensure that Mr. Khemka gets justice, it's our prime story tonight.
Anger and disillusionment over IAS officer Ashok Khemka's unceremonious 46th transfer in 23 years. Fellow IAS officials coming out to extend support, calling Khemka's shunting out is a violation of a Supreme Court order, which stipulates a minimum 2-year tenure for bureaucrats.
Rather, the Supreme Court diktat on the subject of securing two years tenure, minimum tenure for IAS officers, on the face of it is not justified.
सारी bureaucracy को protection दी जानी चाहिए. Civil servants को protection जब तक नहीं होगी, तब तक government में सुधार नहीं आएंगे.
Khemka shunted out as Haryana Transport Commissioner within 4 months of assuming office. Voices even within the Haryana government questioning the transfer. But Haryana CM Manohar Lal Khattar sticking to his government's decision.
ये एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव काम है, उस एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव काम को सरकारें करती हैं.
मैं बिल्कुल खेमका के साथ हूं और खेमका ने भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ जो लड़ाई लड़ी है, मैं तभी से उसके साथ हूं और मैं साथ दूंगा.
Khemka, who had exposed Robert Vadra's alleged dubious land deals, had been shunted out in the previous Congress regime too. But even with a change in regimes at the centre and in Haryana, nothing seems to have changed for the whistleblower. Curiously, the Congress, now in opposition, choosing silence on Khemka. During his tenure as Transport Commissioner, Khemka had reportedly miffed the transport lobby, refusing to issue fitness certificates to oversized trucks and trailers. The question on everyone's lips, is Khemka's transfer a bid to appease the state's powerful transport lobby?
98%, 98, 99% of administration is outside Delhi. That is a transactional, giving land, this thing, excise, all the dealings are done all over. There, so much of interest is there. Over time, in the transport sector, as in the Khemka's case, or in the excise sector, we all know they are all controlled by groups.
Have you ever seen the transfer order of any senior officer carefully? It always says that so-and-so officer is being transferred in the public interest. In its landmark judgment in October 2013, the Supreme Court clearly said that if an officer is being transferred in less than 2 years, clear-cut and a specific reason should be put on record for this. But it seems that the political masters know about the public interest more than anybody else. This is Balkrishna reporting for Headlines Today in New Delhi.
Okay, that's Balakrishna's report. 45th transfer for IAS officer Ashok Khemka. Should IAS officers have a secure tenure for at least 3 years? We are saying 3 years, not even 2. We are going one step further. I want to take up this issue with TSR Subramaniam, former cabinet secretary, who had the distinction of taking up that case with a petition in the Supreme Court that resulted in that judgment, which sadly is not being followed by the various governments. Arun Bhatia, former IAS officer, from Maharashtra, my home state, and someone who himself has taken on the political establishment in his state. Pradeep Kasni, a serving IAS officer in Haryana government, who has come out and spoken out today in support of Mr. Khemka. I'm told you've been transferred also almost 60 times. And Sudhanshu Mittal of the BJP, who has the difficult task today of defending the actions of the Khattar government. Clearly at the moment it appears, Mr. Subramaniam, you and others went to the Supreme Court with the specific idea of insulating the bureaucracy from political interference, asked for a 2-year tenure for bureaucrats. The court agreed to it, agreed to set up a civil services board. It's not happened.
No.
It's not happened in Haryana. It's not happening in most states. You told me before the program just 7 states have implemented it, mainly minor states.
That's right. Now, I think the Chief Minister was correct in saying that it is the prerogative of the administration to transfer. I think that's correct. But the point is that these are not domestic gharka posting where you ask people to come and go. These are public postings. Public interest is involved here. And therefore, if a premature transfer takes place, it is his duty to say why. If a district magistrate has failed in one district, try him out in the second district. If he has failed there, send him home. Don't send him to the 5th district, 8th district every 3 months.
I want to give the example of Mr. Khemka for our viewers. He, in November, is sent to the Transport Ministry. We are now in the month of March. In less than 4 or 5 months, he's been transferred to archaeology and museums. What sense does it make, sir?
See, 2 years back, the study that was done said, average tenure for a district magistrate all over India is 7 months. Average tenure for an SP is 5 months. If you exclude 2 plus 3 years, in 3 to 4 months precisely is the time when the man has gone to one thana each, one block each, finds 1 or 2 areas which are badmashi areas, starts the investigation, he is out. So the clear pattern is there now. But one last point here before you go to others, Rajdeep. This is not for insulating, not for protecting them. This is in the genuine public interest, because the officers are not there for their personal aggrandizement or to have a chair. They are there to do a public service. And if the man doesn't know the area, every 3 months a new man comes, he does not understand the area, the punishment is to the people. So the argument is under Article 21.
So you believe that Ashok Khemka is paying a price in a sense for his honesty?
Very clearly.
Very clearly. Okay, I'm going to ask my producers to flash that. The former cabinet secretary making it very clear that Khemka is paying the price for his honesty. I want to for a moment also bring in Pradeep Kasni. I'm coming to the IAS officers and then to the politician. Pradeep Kasni, you're a serving IAS officer. Is there something unusual about Haryana, about Ashok Khemka? Because you yourself have been transferred, I'm told, almost 60 times. What is going on in Haryana or indeed in many states of this country? Because a report that I have suggests that the average tenure now of IAS officers, on an average, 68% of them have 18 months and less.
Yes, sir. In fact,
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Kasni.
all the officers who are holding tenure posts, whether belonging to the IAS or IPS or the Forest Service. So this issue has been taken up by the Second Administrative Reforms Commission also in its 10th report, much before the Supreme Court verdict in TSR Saab case. So that has been held that it's a scourge of the Indian governance system as yet, and it needs to be tackled. And therefore, a minimum specified tenure of 2 years was suggested there also, and this has been laid down in the Supreme Court verdict also, and accepted by the DOPT,
Sir, but why is
accepted
it
by
not
Haryana
happening?
state, very interestingly.
Why is it not happening?
Pardon?
Why is it not happening on the ground? Every state is saying we want to support the independence of the bureaucracy. The Prime Minister says it, Chief Minister says it. Why doesn't it happen in reality?
It's not happening, and maybe some of us may have to take recourse to the judicial recourse, and may have to bring the facts to the notice of the court also.
Are you willing as a serving officer today to go against the Haryana government? Are you worried about your own future if you go to the court tomorrow, either for your case or that of Khemka? Are you worried that the government will not protect you?
Like Mr. Khemka, I was Commissioner Gurgaon Division in the third week of November, and in the 4th week of December I was shunted out from there. And I'm yet to find out a reason for that.
Did they give you? They gave you no reasons.
Yes.
You were given no reasons when you were shunted out. No reasons at all. This is
absolutely no reason.
I'm also going to get Arun Bhatia. In Arun Bhatia, it seems that the problem is getting even worse. Instead of getting better, it's actually getting worse. You've got now serving bureaucrats saying that he's getting tenures of 3 or 4 months. That's happening with Mr. Khemka. I thought it was 18 months. It's now down to 4 months at times in states like Haryana. Uttar Pradesh is equally worse.
Yeah, that's true. It seems to be getting worse. I think there's a relationship between the rise in corruption and the rise in the number of transfers. There can be no reason to transfer an officer without completing 2 years. Even if the boards have not been set up by the state governments, still the logic remains. The board, whether it's set up or not, the state government should still explain why this officer has been transferred. There is no explanation. So they give this really weather-beaten sort of comment all the time, administrative grounds. And it's very clear, administrative grounds cannot be arbitrary. What are administrative grounds? Even the courts in the past had been very conservative and said, yes, this is the prerogative of the government, this is an administrative matter. That's all nonsense. You are getting rid of a functionary that is putting his teeth into the district administration, unearthing scandals, trying to clean the system, trying to bring transparency, and just at the point when he's about to become effective, you have to get rid of him. You must get rid of him. So Khemka's going, the onus is on the government to show the reason for transferring him. The onus is not on Khemka to say, look, I'm a very nice person, I have done nothing wrong.
Right. You know, that's precisely what that's precisely what I want to take to Sudhanshu Mittal. You know, you have given no reasons. When the Chief Minister is asked, he says, no, we are doing it in the public interest, it's routine. You know, this word routine is being used as if there have been several transfers that have been done. And I also want to correct that it is TSR Subramaniam on our breaking news who is saying very clearly at the moment that this is a violation of the rules of the Supreme Court. It's a clear violation of the Supreme Court guidelines. Former Cabinet Secretary is saying that. I think my producer needs to get his flashes right. So apart from that though, the fact is, Sudhanshu Mittal, your Chief Minister and your government is giving no reasons at all to explain why Mr. Khemka is transferred for 4 months after he came into the Transport Ministry. When he was pursuing Robert Vadra, you came out in his support. Today, when he needs support from your BJP government, you have distanced yourself from him. What kind of behavior is this, Mr. Mittal?
Razib, A, you'll allow me to speak because it's 3:1. B, don't use an exception to prove a rule. Because you'll do a far greater damage to what should be done than what you're propounding right now. Now, let's take one thing at a time. As far as Mr. Khemka is concerned, I have the highest regard for the man. He is truly an exception, a man who's fought against all odds to uphold what good governance should be all about. I tried to get in touch with the Chief Minister to figure out exactly what the reason is. But at the very onset, two things are very clear. Neither the central government or the state government led by Mr. Khattar can ever be accused of corruption.
No, please.
So the reason
Mr. Sudhanshu Mittal, an officer is put in charge of the transport. I will let you reply.
Are you going to have a monologue?
Sir, I will allow you to speak, but I will not allow you to mislead people. The fact is that 4 months ago, Mr. Khemka is appointed in the transport department. He then cracks down on the transport lobby. In 4 months, he is transferred to the Ministry of Archaeology and Museum.
Who told you? Which lobby did he crack? No, Rajdeep, let us understand. You don't make sweeping statements.
I will, because my reporter has gone on the ground. My reporter has found out how overloaded lorries.
What is happening is, Rajdeep, to prove a point, we make wide allegations and then we want to conclude a system has to be differently looked at. If 46 transfers exhibit that here is a man who's fighting against vested interest, all those who have not been transferred 46 times, does it say that they have not been fighting it?
Sir, that's not what I'm saying, sir. Mr. Mittal, I'm not saying that. I am saying that your Haryana government cannot call the transfer of an officer in 4 months every time routine. It cannot say that it is being done in the public interest. Our reporter has gone on the ground and found that Mr. Khemka was acting against the transport lobby where there were people who were carrying overloaded trucks linked to the sand mining mafia. That's what our reporter has found. Now you are coming on this program and saying, look, don't make Khemka out to be an exception.
Your reporter has said nothing but a generalization without any substantiation. I would have appreciated that such a serious debate must be substantiated by the exact allegation. But I am not getting into this because, as I said, I tried to get in touch with the Chief Minister. I could not find the reason.
Sir, the Chief Minister has given us the reason that it's routine. The chief minister has told us it's routine, but just a minute. Sudhanshu,
It is
just a minute.
certainly not for the reason of corruption that this could have been done.
Okay, so when it comes to Robert Vadra, you take up Khemka and say he's an honest officer and say it has to do with corruption. When your government removes it, it is routine and has nothing to do with corruption. I'm not able to understand, but Arun Bhatia, you had put up your hand. Please respond.
I'm still saying.
Okay, you are saying it's not.
I'm still saying that he is an honest officer.
So
I'm still
this
saying that we have the
this
highest
point that
regard
was
for
just raised, that
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Bhatia.
this point that was just, yes sir, thank you sir. This point that was just raised, what about the other officers who have not been transferred 46 times? You know, this is a false argument. I'll answer that. The other officers who have not been transferred 46 times are either corrupt or they accept the corruption. They turn their face away from corruption for their own survival. So their honesty is of no good to the system or to the citizens of this country.
Right. You know, the point is, Mr. Subramaniam, a politician like Mr. Mittal is going to say, look, it's routine. He's going to say it has nothing to do with corruption. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe for a moment, let us assume it doesn't. But what does a 4-month tenure do? What can any officer contribute meaningfully in a 4-month tenure? And why is this Civil Services Board, as the Supreme Court mandated, not being set up?
Exactly. It is nobody's case that the Prime Minister, the Chief Minister is corrupt. It's nobody's case.
I'm not
we are
saying
only
that.
saying that the law of the land today is premature transfers, reasons must be given. It's a premature transfer. Why is it not being given? Suspicion is being raised that some funny reason is there. They should now come out. It cannot just say public interest today. Public needs to know what its interest is being done, number one. You asked me this question, do you think it is because he is so honest that he was transferred? He has been transferred 46 times. Now, nobody had the courage or the guts to give him an adverse entry or an adverse reckoning, etc. You can only, no minister, no secretary, you can only conclude that is outstandingly good. And why should you, if you transfer somebody outstandingly good without any reason 46 times, something is rotten in that state. That state is rotten. They should explain why a good man, either he is a third-rate man, he should be asked to go home 25 years back. If he is not a bad man, they should have charge sheeted him. You can't give him 48-year outstanding entries for 24 years and then transfer him every 4 months. The governance is rotten in that state. There must be huge introspection.
You know, those are very strong words that you are using, that governance is rotten in a state like Haryana. Others will say, of course, that this is true of other states, including your previous cadre of Uttar Pradesh, sir. But, you know, Mr. Kasim, you've been transferred, what, 60 times, sir? I am told. Is that true? 60? 60?
60, yeah.
60 times in Haryana. And what is your average tenure?
If he is bad, why is he in service?
What is
If
your
he is
average?
bad, why is he in service?
Maybe.
What is your average tenure, sir?
Sir, pardon, sir?
What is your average tenure that you've served if you've been transferred 60 times, sir?
Sir, last time it was hardly a month and a week.
And this was in Gurgaon, is it?
In Gurgaon, and maybe because of certain decisions I had to take, and they were all in public interest. What I wanted to say is,
Sir.
instead of underlining the personal credentials of officers like Mr. Khemka,
Yes.
everybody is acknowledging his honesty and his thoroughness so far as rules are concerned,
Yes.
so far as his knowledgeability is concerned. What I want to say is, what is at stake in the matter is the issues of good governance. So good governance and the public interest, which the government uses at times as a matter of empty idiom. But the public interest is better served when people are allowed to stay in their positions for 2 years at least.
No, I think you make a very good point. And you know, Sudhanshu Mittal, today I've heard the Prime Minister of the country talk of good governance. He keeps emphasizing that good governance includes insulating the bureaucracy. What is happening in the neighboring state of Haryana, Mr. Khattar? And that's why people are raising question that this is all talk, that we will give good governance. How can you give good governance if your IAS officers, good people, are only there for 3 to 4 months? That's the question, Mr. Mittal, which you need to answer. There's no point smiling and running away from the problem, if I may say so.
If you allow me to speak, then I will only speak. Other, you don't even allow me to speak.
Please go ahead.
Now let me give you one very interesting statistics also.
Yes.
In one of the worst governed states, I wouldn't like to name the state, 96% of all officers of the All India services are outstanding officers. The ACRs, which are filled by these same bureaucrats, have given their own colleagues, 96% of them outstanding. Now, I just pose a simple question. If these are all such outstanding officers, what happened to the state? What happened to the governance? What happened to the bureaucracy?
That's another.
You just heard Mr. Bhatia
Sir, you are raising a valid issue about confidential reports and whether those confidential reports should be tougher on officers. Then but then as TSR Subramaniam is saying, sack them. If an officer is so inefficient, remove him from the service.
I have a lot to tell you. Allow me just two more points.
Yes.
Just 2 more points.
Yes.
You just heard Mr. Arun Bhatia saying those who have not been transferred are either corrupt or tolerate corruption for vested interests. So he is saying the norm, the rule is corrupt and tolerating corruption. The exception is honesty. If this is a state of Indian bureaucracy, then talking about insulating them, talking about all this, do you understand the wider implications? It is very easy to have
again you are
prophecies.
Mr. Sudhanshu Mittal, you have now become a master politician because you know how in a way to twist the argument what Arun Bhatia was trying to say. But Mr. Bhatia, how do you respond? Sir, just a minute, sir.
Become popular.
Sir, let's not
shout. We do not
shout.
even apply ourselves seriously to the national issue.
Okay, let's
that
not
is the
shout.
Problem.
Sir, let's
On
not
this
shout.
debate also, you will not go into the depth of what is required to be done.
No, sir, I am going to the simple reason. I want to know when an officer is going to be transferred in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months, 4 months. Governance is going to suffer. But Mr. Bhatia, the point which is being also made is that confidential reports say every officer is excellent, according to Sudhanshu Mittal. Then how do you respond to those situations? How is the bureaucracy partly to blame itself for the manner in which this entire confidential report system operates, or is this purely political vendetta against bureaucrats who are seen to be doing their work efficiently?
Sir,
yes.
If 96% of IAS and IPS officers were honest, why should this country be corrupt? Because these are the officers that hold the key posts. The key posts, the most important posts, they are recruited at that level. And 96% this gentleman is saying are honest. Wow, I've never heard this before. So why is there so much corruption in the country? It's because the figure is not 96%. IAS and IPS officers, the entire bureaucracy is in partnership with the politicians in corruption. That's why we have this situation in this country. ACRs, annual confidential reports, are written by corrupt officers for honest subordinates. You have to acknowledge that the major force is corrupt, politicians or bureaucrats. And how did this gentleman say that 96% are very good? Academically, yes, because you make them pass an examination, interview and all the rest of it.
Sir, but can I just hold you there, because I just want to know why is the Supreme Court order not being implemented? That's the simple question. Police reforms, Supreme Court order not implemented. Administrative reforms, Supreme Court order not implemented. If Mr. Khemka goes to court tomorrow, he's gone to the governor, can anyone protect him? Does he have any protection?
No, because the system will hit him even harder. But then the fact is, it is inconvenient. It's as simple as that. The states find it extremely convenient. Don't come and disturb the status quo. Everything is fine here. You go and touch, you put your hand in any school, go to any hospital, go to any village, go to any land record, you immediately see what the problem is. But the administration basically says, lie doggo, keep quiet, status quo, don't disturb, and this country is...
Can't the bureaucrats all come together? My point is there enough unity among the bureaucracy?
No, there is no, because... Look, in any company, it is only the managing director, it is only the chief. The honesty has to come from the top, it can't come from the bottom. If the chief is honest, for example, in Delhi, for example...
Can Narendra Modi today order Mr. Khattar to reverse this order?
No, the same point I am making. In Delhi bureaucracy, central bureaucracy has dramatically improved in the last 1 year, dramatically improved. Decisions are faster, honesty is much better. He has not been able to influence the states. And the action is in the states. Delhi has dramatically improved. If the chief minister cracks the whip, 90%, 70% will come down there. And lastly, I don't agree with Mr. Bhatia. He is taking a too pessimistic a view. Many people don't want to look at the bad things, but I would not want to tar everybody with that brush. I agree. Sadly, increasing number, still not significant.
Should Narendra Modi ring up Mr. Khattar tonight and say, look, give me a good reason why you have removed Ashok Khemka. If you don't have a good reason, reinstate him.
Rajdeep, you have touched a point on which I feel very strongly.
Just a minute, Sudhanshu.
I think 90% of the governance is in the states.
Yes.
I think the center has to, the Prime Minister has to take the initiative to I have not heard a single Chief Minister promising good governance, except the Prime Minister. He should take the phone, call everybody and say, I want dramatic improvement in the quality of administration.
Okay, so, Sudhanshu Mittal, I'm just giving you 30 seconds. Give you a final word on this.
Yes, right. Rajiv, Mr. Subramaniam said, it percolates. Brilliant, yes. Mr. Narendra Modi is the cleanest of all. Yet, all his effort in terms of the bureaucratic behavior on corruption, what is it exhibiting at the lower level? Sir, the problem is elsewhere. The problem is, you just talked about police reforms. The Supreme Court has ordered the legislative assemblies to enact a law. I thought that was a sovereign function of the legislative assemblies, whether to enact or not to enact. So there are problems. The fundamental problem is accountability. The bureaucracy of this country has for far too long been unaccountable for the misdeeds, for the corruption, the status quoism, which is
sir, this
never
is
good. You think any government would have lost?
Sir, an officer is transferred. Sir, an officer is being transferred.
The people is with the bureaucracy, not with the politicians. Always remember when it comes to governance.
This is an absurd argument. You are absurd argument.
Opposition to somebody else.
This is an absurd argument.
Absurd argument. Not a single soul will accept it now.
You will find it absurd because
there is open violation of Supreme Court orders. And if the politician says he cannot bring good governance, he should not blame others. He will say, I am incompetent and get out of there.
I am going to leave it there.
I challenge you and I am going to leave it there. I will demolish every single point of yours. Every single point, because your misdeeds is the result of what this country is seeing.
Okay.
It is not the polity. The bureaucracy of this country is responsible for running this country. And look what
abolish the bureaucracy.
Yes.
So don't blame.
If the bureaucracy is bad, abolish. See what happens in 10 years, it won't survive.
I'm going to leave it there. I don't want this to become politicians versus bureaucrats. We want the country's quality of governance to improve. Sudhanshu Mittal, you use this to attack the bureaucracy. The fact is, if an officer is transferred 46 times, if another officer like Mr. Kasi is transferred 60 times, something is wrong. Something is rotten.
For the last 23 years when he was transferred. So don't blame his 46 transfer on BJP.
I am not blaming. Sir, as I have said, sir, my question is Congress, BJP, no difference. You attacked him for Robert Vadra. I will today question you. Why have you used
statement? It is unfair.
Okay.
We have an honest chief minister. We have an honest government.
What is the point in having an honest chief minister who is encouraging dishonesty?
That's unfair.
What is the point in having an honest chief minister who is punishing an honest officer? He is punishing an honest officer.
Get you the reason.
Mr. Sudhanshu Mittal, there's no point having an honest chief minister if he punishes dishonest, if he punishes honest officers. That honesty means nothing.
Your presumption of punishment is wrong. The facts will be out in front of you.
Okay, we will see. You made very serious points here. I await the facts. I await to see Mr. Khattar give the facts.
Yes.
Till then, I hope that the Prime Minister will pick up the phone today and ask the Chief Minister to tell the country why is he removing IAS officers 3 months, 4 months into their tenures. I appreciate you joining us, all my panelists joining us. There is a serious problem in this country with the way the bureaucracy at the moment is being rapidly transferred. Transfer is being used as a weapon like never before. My take, if 68% of IAS officers have average tenures of 18 months or less, then something is drastically wrong with the bureaucracy. Without administrative reform that guarantees security of tenure except in special circumstances, the steel frame of this country will continue to rust. Officers like Ashok Khemka must be insulated from political interference, else honesty will no longer be seen as a virtue.